Welcome to Shea Center for Performing Arts. Before we start today's program, we would like to provide our university land acknowledgement statement that affirms Indigenous people and honors their land and sacrifice. Please join me in this moment of reflection as I share our land acknowledgement. We recognize that we reside on the homeland of the Lenape people, past and present, and we respect and honor them as our original caretakers of this land. And now we ask that you please draw your attention to the following regulations. Smoking or vaping is not permitted in the auditorium, lobby, or restrooms. Please turn off all cell phones and any other electronic devices. The use of cameras or recording devices of any kind are strictly prohibited without special permission from the university. Due to fire regulations, audience members are not permitted to sit or stand in the aisles. In the event of an emergency, please proceed calmly towards the nearest fire exit. Thank you for your attention.
song that speaks to our moment because there's nothing wrong with being confident and we have a reason to be just that. That group is a sophomore cohort. So not only amazing musicians, but I have some serious hair envy over there. So before I go on, also please join me in thanking the entire Shea Center and IR teams, along with everyone who played a role in hosting today's address. Let's give them a round of applause. So, hey, welcome to the Fall 2025 semester at William Patterson University. This morning, we collectively welcomed our newest pioneers, and now it is my pleasure to personally greet you, our wonderful and caring faculty and staff, as we kick off a new academic year. I know that you have all been working hard to plan for it, and I'll be talking a lot today about long-term university-wide planning. I also hope that we were all able to prepare for a busy year ahead by relaxing and recharging over the summer, which somehow seems to defy time and become a little shorter every single year. Personally, though, I know that I'm excited as I begin what I am calling my golden presidential year, which is akin to your golden birthday. So your golden birthday is when you turn the same age as the date of your birth. So this is my 8th academic year as your 8th president. So I'm referring to this as my golden presidential year. And since golden birthdays max out at 31, I'm jumping at the chance to celebrate this milestone, right? So, which is easy, which is certainly easy, because I am more energized and inspired than ever by our students and everything that we have done together with such dedication to ensure their success. Because of you, more students are getting a great William Patterson education, graduating to build better careers and lives for themselves and their families, and strengthening New Jersey and their communities. So thank you for everything that you do. You are making a real difference. So it's always rewarding work, but we also know that it's never been easy, and it's certainly not going to get any easier. So when I stood before you on this stage back in January, we were still weeks away from a new administration in Washington, D.C. All we knew was to expect the unexpected. But I would venture that only the most cynical of us could truly claim not to be surprised, shocked, maybe even dumbfounded by what has transpired since, at least in what it means in terms of higher education. The Chronicle of Higher Education has been tracking the Trump administration's higher ed agenda, and it's kept them quite busy. They are tracking 48 separate actions across civil rights, immigration, policy, and research that have serious consequences for higher education. That's more than 1.5 actions per week since Trump's inauguration. And while many have targeted high-profile institutions like Harvard and Columbia, others have serious and far-reaching implications for all of higher education, including William Patterson. Things like stricter federal financial aid rules, which could limit access. Like the order to dismantle the kind of DEI programs that help our populations of students succeed. And like the increased scrutiny and restrictions being applied to international students, which threaten the great progress that we are making to grow this population on our own campus. I'll talk about some of these in greater detail later on, but for now, I want to encourage everyone to keep in mind something that many of you have heard me reference elsewhere, which comes from the late author and educator Stephen Covey. It's really the concept of circle of concern and circle of influence. In short, there's a big, wide world of things that we can and do worry about, but a much smaller subset of things that we actually have influence over. In a world where the only certainty is uncertainty, our collective work, and I would argue our personal sanity, are best served by focusing on the things within the circle of influence, the things that we can actually control. And I'm really proud to say that we've been doing a great job of this, which is a big reason that we've had a lot of transformational success in recent years. For example, we realized that we couldn't control the decline in our traditional 18-year-old student population, but we could launch WP Online and go after new markets in New Jersey and beyond. We certainly couldn't control a global pandemic, but we could and did adapt our campus to safely bring back our students sooner than most of our peer institutions and provide them with ever stronger support systems to help them succeed. We were able to do these things thanks to smart, strategic, long-term planning and nimble responsiveness to the constantly changing day-to-day realities of our university and of our diverse and dynamic student population. So today, I want to spend some time talking about how we will close out our current 3-year strategic plan, which sunsets at the end of this calendar year. And then I want to devote a bit more time to talk about what I'm thinking in terms of how we'll approach the new strategic plan to carry us forward to 2030. Now, to those of us born in the 1900s, the year 2030 may sound like the introduction to a piece of futuristic science fiction. But believe it or not, it's less than 5 years away. How many of you were shocked when you saw the year 2029 over the arch today? I had a moment. So I'm going to sketch out the proposed timeline that will provide plenty of opportunities for every William Patterson constituency to be heard and provide feedback. I also want to talk about some of the major themes that we should be thinking about in the coming year, at least some of which I imagine will end up in the new strategic plan. First, though, I want to update you on where we are in terms of enrollment and retention, and then talk about the budget. And then finally, our overall financial picture, before going on to cover some of the many recent highlights. Given our great record of success over the past several years, and given the energy and dedication that I see every day on the part of our faculty and staff, I'm looking forward to another great year at William Patterson, and so should you. As I alluded to at the top, last month marked the start of my 8th year as the 8th president of this great university. And it has been both the toughest and most rewarding experience in my more than 35 years in higher education. And I know this year will be no easier, but no less fulfilling. As you may be aware, the number 8 is an auspicious symbol around the world. The Beijing Olympics famously opened at 8:08 and 8 seconds on the 8th day of the 8th month in 2008 to capitalize on the number's good fortune. Many cultures look to the number 8 as a symbol of symmetry and unity. So I'm choosing to see this as a good omen for this year, despite the political and economic environments that are characterized by more chaos and disharmony. But folks, I'm not here to deliver the State of the Union address. I'm here to deliver the State of the University address. So remember, circle of concern, circle of influence. So let's dive in. Given the disruptions to international recruitment and enrollment and the new, more restrictive federal financial aid landscape, please know that we'll be very conservative with our enrollment projections so that we're not caught short. As of this morning, the overall student body currently stands at 9,793, which is 2.9% up compared to this time last year, with continuing students up about 4% and new students up about 1.7%. The class of 2029, which we welcomed to campus this morning, currently sits at 1,002 first-time, full-time, first-year students. WP Online continues to grow with the current enrollment of 4,087 students. That represents a 6.9% growth year over year. WP Online also saw a 7.4% increase in new transfer students. Overall, main campus continuing headcount is up nearly 1%, and the degree-seeking continuing population is up just 0.2%. That's a little bit of a pain point. That's ahead of last year, but it's about 6% away from the target we set for this population. I'll talk a little bit about why. Main campus is still 2,066 students shy of our updated goal. Now, I know that's a big number, but it does include nearly 1,900 dual enrollment students who are expected to register by Census 2, and we're also confident that the WP Online enrollment goal will be met by Census 2 as well. So that number will considerably shrink. What that number doesn't include is the many international students who deferred to the spring semester because of the ongoing visa restrictions, or those reconsidering studying in the U.S. altogether. Still, the new class represents 17 of New Jersey's 21 counties, 14 states and territories, and almost as many countries, 13. Now, as I said, we can't control the lack of visa appointments, circle of concern. But we can, and we are seeing about deferring those students until the spring, circle of influence. Remember that we have a goal of increasing international students by 5% of the overall main campus population in the next 2 years. We currently have 236 international students enrolled from 49 countries, up more than 18% year over year. 83 of them are new international students registered this fall despite the many obstacles. Talk about some willpower. That's a credit to them and to Vice President George Kasenga and his enrollment management team, who have done an outstanding job generating interest in William Patterson abroad and turning that interest into increased international deposits, which stood at 111, which is an impressive 63% increase year over year, before the visa appointments started drying up. While we may not be up in international students as much as we had projected, we are up a lot, and we'll continue to build on that success. So congratulations to Josh Bulland and Emily Plaskow for all of their great work. Let's give them a round of applause. You know, it's not easy. That team did an amazing job of getting those international students' paperwork done, and then the visa appointments started drying up. So I know it's disheartening, but it will change. And when it changes, we'll be ready. We also can't create more 18-year-olds. But we can be more aggressive in capturing our fair share of the market, and we're making progress in this area as well. We can be laser-focused on the some college, no degree market, which still has great potential for growth, and where we moved aggressively to be the first in the marketplace in serving this distinct population. We're also growing our re-up population, where we have 45 new students this fall and 176 persisting. In terms of the number of graduates, we are second of the four-year institutions and fourth overall in New Jersey, and that's great news for us. But let's take a moment to consider what we've done in the graduate space. Between 2019 and 2023, for example, we had the #1 graduate enrollment growth in New Jersey. And we were in the top 5% nationally and in our Carnegie class. And from 2023 to 2024, we grew at almost twice the rate of the next highest, Rutgers, and nearly 3 times the rate of our friends at Montclair. Truly, truly impressive numbers. So let's keep it up. We have more work to do, and we're far from finished, but we are a long way from where we started. So congratulations to Vice President Kasenga, AVP Steve Quinn, AVP Susan Astorita, and the entire team. Let's give them a round of applause. So, you know, also just to give you a little context, we've been benchmarking ourselves against what's sort of going on within the sector. And most middle states institutions are down about 7.2%, and 58% of all HSIs have reported an enrollment decline. So the fact that we're up means that we're bucking the trend. In addition to encouraging enrollment news, there's also positive first-year retention data. First-time full-time main campus retention is at 73.4%, and we're still within striking distance of our goal of 75.5. So congratulations to Vice President Miki Camarada and the Student Development Team, including Carmen Ortiz, and everyone in the Advisement Center and EOF, Linda Refslin, and the Academic Success Center, Stacy Ann Brown in Financial Aid and Student Enrollment Services, Joanna Torres, and Lisa Brennison, and the Registrar's Office for leading these efforts. Let's give them a round of applause. So let's talk finances. So when it comes to the budget, perhaps the best way to sum things up right now is it's going to be squishy. And I know squishy isn't where we like to live. And as Vice President Kirsten Loverkite will tell you, CFOs really hate squishy. But it's where we have to be for now. So let's just all take a deep breath and acknowledge that reality, which really applies to almost everything right now in one degree or another. So as I communicated over the summer, the latest state budget was a mixed bag for us in terms of our own budget. On the negative side of the ledger, we were awarded less than half, $3.25 million of our requested $7.5 million in workforce stabilization funding. On the positive side, thanks to our improved metrics in the OBA, or the outcomes-based allocation formula, we picked up nearly 11% more in OBA funding than last year, which means an additional $1.5 million. Also, 75% of TAG was restored on the state level, which we didn't include in our own budget because it was still not funded as of our last board meeting. So we'll make those adjustments to the proposed budget, which the board will consider for approval next month. It's a modest gain, but it's something. More promising is the $250 million pot of state funding for deferred maintenance grants for public higher education, which will really give us an opportunity to apply for and utilize a share of those monies, which would ease pressure elsewhere on our budget. This will be a competitive process, but I'm very confident that we'll be able to present a compelling application. When the playing field is level, we've gotten very good at competing, so stay tuned for more information on this. Perhaps the most encouraging fiscal news is that for the first time in recent history, we believe that, although the audit is incomplete, that we will ultimately post approximately a $3.9 million surplus to the cash reserve from the past fiscal year. This is really a significant achievement, and you should give yourself a round of applause for that to happen. But I do want to caution everyone again about what I said earlier about enrollment. We are still projecting a structural deficit for this year that is slightly higher than we anticipated in June, given international and domestic enrollment challenges. We projected a $6 million deficit at the June board meeting, and that's now looking more like $7 million. The cabinet and I will be working with all of you to reduce that number over the coming months. But man, oh man, when you look back on that $31 million deficit that we had just a few short years ago, getting to a $3.9 million surplus seemed unimaginable. So who knows? Maybe that lucky number 8 is starting to pay off already. Let's hope. But look for an upcoming invitation to the November 13th Enrollment and Budget Forum, where there'll be a lot more timely details. I've asked VP Loverkite to spend some time walking us through last year's budget in some detail, where we saw gains and misses that led to that surplus. But it does mean that our financial picture is still heading in the right direction. But we're not out of the woods just yet. But now let's turn to some very visible and concrete highlights from across our beautiful campus, where you may have noticed a brighter than ever orange glow, thanks to the work over the summer to build a stronger brand. As the video that I shared last week and these photos show, we have really worked to accentuate our vibrant and distinctive brand for recruitment prospects and their families when they tour campus and attend events like Open House. Upgrades include adding orange along with popular university images, especially PIO, to the entryways in the Student Center, the Shea Center, which you saw on your way in, and select residence halls, where we've also brightened up all of those lobbies. We've created a big and bold powerhouse of progress graphic in the Spirit lobby, along with adding other bright WP images in the Student Center and renaming the food court as Pioneer Food Court, featuring images from our great athletics teams. We've added other WP banners outdoors, and there are even more orange Adirondack chairs around campus, which are a big hit. So we are repping the orange and black like never before. But what may be my favorite addition is this incredible and very large image of PIO to the Student Center steps outside of the bookstore. We are working on updating branding in the freshly painted arena that you saw during convocation today, and we'll continue to look for new ways to extend our dynamic brand and enhance the campus experience for everyone. A big thanks to Vice President Stuart Goldstein and his marketing and public relations team, especially Bob Verbeek, for leading this great work. Thanks so much. So behind great branding, we are making significant progress enhancing campus infrastructure with several high-profile physical plant projects either completed or advancing toward completion. The most prominent among these, of course, as everybody got a glimpse firsthand at convocation this morning, is the ongoing construction of the Recreation and Health Sciences Center. This transformational project will more than double the size of the building with a 2-story extension. The state-of-the-art facility will seamlessly integrate with the current structure and feature a new health clinic with examination and counselor rooms, academic classrooms, a gymnasium, and of course a new swimming pool. It really underscores our commitment to fostering physical and mental wellness for students, faculty, and staff, as well as positioning the campus as a hub for academic, athletic, and health services. And we are on track for a June 2027 completion. Elsewhere, the campus facility master plan was fully updated this year to include a stronger vision for supporting sustainable growth and modernization. It integrates and aligns strategic goals for academic, administrative, and recreational spaces, and includes detailed roadmap for future campus development, expanded pedestrian pathways, and enhanced campus connectivity. It also includes 11 big ideas, such as relocating the Casacos College of Business and the College of Education back to the main campus, repurposing spaces for modern teaching needs, and creating a primary campus entrance. So we'll discuss the plan with the campus community this semester so that everybody will be aware of what's happening, especially those that will be most directly impacted. Some other quick campus highlights. Community policing offices were built in Spirit Hall to better support campus safety initiatives and foster better collaboration between campus police and the university community. We were also awarded a $249,000 Trees for School grant, which will fund the planting of native trees and the creation of shaded outdoor learning and gathering spaces across campus. So really, a lot of great campus improvements that have been made with more to come. And I want to thank VP Loverkite and AVP Jim Shelley and their administrative and physical operations team for the great work that they do on our beautiful campus. It really looked beautiful today, guys. Thanks so much. So as always, we have a lot of other great things happening that we should be proud of. Much of it is easy to see, but there's also a lot of amazing accomplishments that happen bit by bit in places all across campus and online that can really be harder to grasp as a whole. So when I had the chance to review a recent report that summarizes so much of the great work happening on the part of our students and our success in increasing their success, I knew I wanted to share it with you. But as a reminder, it all starts with this statement. William Patterson University understands what students need to succeed and how to guide them to successful careers and lives. We have built an innovative and comprehensive system of support focused on academics, career development, and campus life, customized to meet students' individual needs. Let's first look at some of the many ways we are delivering on this commitment in terms of inputs and related outcomes. The key initiatives that are really driving student success begin with Willpower 101 and 102, our first-year experience, which has increased student engagement satisfaction and performance, and student success teams composed of academic, financial, career, and other advisors working together to support each student's success. Collectively, these efforts have led to a 6.9% increase in retention from 67.5 for the 2020 cohort to 74.4 for the 2023 cohort. Our retention gains since 2019 put us at #1 in New Jersey and among the top 10% of our congregate class and in the top 15% among all four-year publics in the nation. Folks, that's huge. Give yourself a round of applause. Within this overall number, there are even some more dramatic increases for specific populations where we are closing the achievement gaps that have existed for far too long. Black student retention has increased more than 13% between 2021 and 2024 to nearly 66%. And the Hispanic student retention increased nearly 10% over that same period to more than 77%. That outpaces the university average. That statistic proves that we are truly a Hispanic serving institution. Persistence in four-year graduation rates for the 2021 cohort increased 5% compared to 3 years earlier to 31%. And our retention gains should drive continued growth in the graduation rate and getting more students across the line sooner, which is really what it is all about. Inside of these achievements lies another metric that deserves special attention. With our student success teams focusing on each student as an individual, they can more quickly and effectively identify students who are struggling, which is where our strategic investment in retention coaches is paying huge dividends. In 2024, academically challenged students who connected with their coach demonstrated an amazing 42% increase in persistence to 87%. That means more students are staying on to continue working toward their degrees and more evidence that our approach is working. Confidence. Another key change that we've made, another input, is the College of Adult and Professional Studies, a new college to support adult learners. This change reflects the incredible growth in adult degree completers that has been enabled by WP Online, which has really been transformational for William Patterson. And this population is one of the best examples why. In just 4 years, we have grown to enroll more than 3,200 adult learners across WP Online and on main campus. Another measure in which we are #1 in New Jersey, as well as #2 in our Carnegie class, and in the top 20 among all four-year publics in the country. You'll get back to them. Thanks to our great faculty and dedicated adult learner supports, third-term undergraduate online persistence has consistently been between 7 and 10 percentage points higher than other online programs nationally, and it currently stands at 73%. We're succeeding by offering a quality program in a flexible format that's attuned to the job market and that works for working adults. And we're offering credit for prior learning, which has gone from 200 credits awarded in 2021 and 2022 to nearly 3,000 credits awarded last year. So congratulations to Associate Provost Cara Rabbit, Joanna Prado, Amanda Vesquez, and everyone in the college who is doing such great work supporting this growing population. Let's give them a round of applause. So all of these efforts are really adding up to a stronger, reinvigorated William Patterson that is delivering on its mission to put more life-changing degrees in the hands of students, of a diverse array of students that we serve. And that is something that we should all be proud of and should celebrate. And we should be confident. Because, hey, there's really nothing wrong with being confident based on the data that shows that what we are doing is working. And we haven't gotten here by luck or by accident. We've gotten here with smart, focused strategies deployed with a growth mindset and a willingness to take more calculated and bigger risks. Some of the lyrics in the song that Grace so wonderfully sang go like this: "But you had us underrated." And that's true. Too often our peers, our competitors, our public officials, and others have underrated William Patterson. But based on that data, now they do so at their peril. But that's on them. The bigger sin is that too often we've underrated ourselves. And that's on us. But no more. Look at all the great achievements that I just mentioned. We have so many things to brag about in terms of student success and external recognition, all of which speak to culture. A culture that is both the product and the source of a newfound confidence. Confidence that we know what our students need and how to deliver for them. Our prospective students and their families see it, and it's resulting in increased enrollment and retention. Our representatives see it, and it's resulting in an increased willingness to go to bat for William Patterson and Trenton. The media sees it, and it's resulting in increased recognition from the likes of Forbes, NJ Biz, and U.S. News and World Report, where we've climbed 30 spots in the best colleges for our region in just the past 4 years. Folks, all of that is a steep climb to our highest ranking ever. And the only way that you pull yourself up a steep climb is through hard work and confidence. So we can and should stay humble, hungry, and smart, but put a little swagger in our step, because we've earned it. A renewed sense of confidence will not only make us feel better, but it will help us build further on our success and put more daylight between us and our competitors. Many of the successes that I have just mentioned stem from 2 of the 5 pillars in the current strategic plan, specifically adult learning and attrition, where, by the way, we exceeded the goal of reducing attrition by 10% over 3 years. So recognizing the importance of strategic thinking and planning, I now want to turn to those topics. So introducing our current plan 3 years ago, I wrote the following, quote, "This carefully considered plan will help our university meet demographic and other challenges we face by leveraging its traditional strengths in student success while also adapting to serve new markets in our select online programs." So folks, we developed a solid plan, and as I detailed when I spoke to you here in January, implemented it with a great deal of success. Here are a few additional examples that have been realized since I spoke to you 7 months ago. On the adult learning pillar, we have implemented updated academic forgiveness and world language and other policies which specifically address the needs of returning adult learners. On the alternative credentials and certificates pillars, 626 digital badges have been awarded for completing undergraduate certificates. We held the first certificate award ceremony in May, and certificate enrollment for this fall currently stands at more than 1,000. And on the decolonization pillar, we completed and distributed the Black Task Force report and the affinity group models, which will help ensure that all voices on campus are heard, will be presented to the Faculty Senate and University Council for recommendations this fall. I want to give a special shout out to Chief Diversity Officer Jean Arnold for her leadership in this area. It's tough for CDOs right now. Let's give her a round of applause. But I also want to thank all of the executive sponsors and the working groups for each pillar for keeping up the work right through the conclusion of the plan. I also want to thank Vice Presidents Camarata and Goldstein for taking over the closeout of the plan over the next few months. Now, for all of the successes, we have been transparent about where there have been misses. And misses are to be expected. If you accomplish everything in your plan, chances are it wasn't ambitious enough. We'll miss the mark sometimes. We'll make mistakes. We'll learn from them. But one thing William Patterson will never suffer from again is a lack of ambition. To help us aim even higher for our next plan, I'm pleased that Vice President Kasenga and College of Education Dean Dr. Amy Ginsberg have agreed to co-chair the new Strategic Plan Committee, and I'm confident that they will guide us toward the best plan for this university at this time. We'll be naming the entire steering committee in the coming weeks, but in the meantime, please join me in thanking our co-chairs for taking on this important leadership role. So as a reminder, this new plan is focused on creating a competitive edge in the marketplace. So let's take a few minutes to lay out a timeline. Over the summer, the Cabinet, the co-chairs, and I worked to finalize what we're referring to per our work with EAB as the 5 frames that we'll focus on and which will comprise the overall plan's framework. So from pillars in the current plan to frames in the next one. The Cabinet, the Associate and Assistant Vice Presidents, the Deans and Associate Deans all worked with EAB to develop a very useful SWOT analysis that came up with 4 frames that will help us leverage our strengths, address our weaknesses, take advantages of opportunities, and manage threats. In discussion with the Cabinet over the summer, we added a 5th frame, which I'll explain why later on. But I'll list them along with some potential, these are potential items, for goals and actions that the Cabinet and I have brainstormed, which we should consider, and I hope that they will spur additional ideas from the campus community. So the frames are, number 1, access and affordability in higher education. So what about the idea that we build on the success of Willpower 101 and 102, with possibly Willpower 201, 301, and maybe even 401, where these new sections would focus on things like finalizing majors, engaging with faculty mentors, planning experiential learning activities, readiness and well-being, career and graduate school planning, and post-college life skills, just to give a few examples. What about the idea of making strategic hires and institutional effectiveness to create a predictive analytic model so we can better forecast student success and needed supports based on high school performance? Second bucket, strategic growth and collaboration. So might we pursue a coordinated strategy to address educational attainment needs in the city of Patterson that leans on our uniquely strong school and Passaic Community College partnerships and grant project successes, which are really hard for competitors to replicate? Emphasize the varied factors that impact educational attainment from childhood through adulthood, so that other units on campus can more easily find ways to be involved just beyond the College of Education. How do we engage nursing and business in this Patterson strategy? How might our new social work program be engaged in this work? Consider the notion that we would continue leveraging our strength in adult learning to create no-cost partnerships with employers and school districts. Consider a tuition discount for our partners who help promote our programs and provide internships for our students. Might we boost our enrollment through workforce pipelines like degree or certificate cohorts within particular organizations? 3, enhancement of academic offerings and support services. So expand offerings linked to healthcare careers and leveraging our leadership as the #1 producer of nurses, MBAs, and the #1 growth in adult student degree production. Utilize a combination of main campus and WP Online offerings so that William Patterson can lay claim to New Jersey's go-to school opportunities for healthcare, business, education, and the allied and behavioral health professions. Nearly all of these professions top lists of current career needs with projected future growth and are linked in some way to providing and supporting healthcare and wellness. And this is even bigger, but we're just thinking about it. Launch a college of allied and behavioral health with programs that fulfill distinct niches that meet state workforce needs, including undergraduate, graduate, adult learner, and certificates. We would really launch a major marketing campaign to support and build reputation, identity, and enrollment based on our established leadership in healthcare and allied and behavioral health areas. So look, as the song says, I'm confident about a lot of things. But what I'm not confident about is that there will be more money for higher education. However, I am confident, given the changes to Medicaid and the big, beautiful bill, that those costs will be pushed to the states. So there will be more money within the state for healthcare, allied and behavioral health. How do we position ourselves to go after that money if there's not money for higher ed? Number 4, infrastructure and technological advancement. So we're going to work on the consolidation of the campus plan as well as on hoteling and hybrid functions. I think we can all agree that the way that we work has changed a lot in recent years. A lot of us are not on campus as much as we used to be. How do we capitalize on ensuring that our space and resources match that new reality? Think about the idea that we identify and invest in AI-driven operational use to modernize university operations through high-impact IA applications and necessary technology. And finally, the frame that the cabinet added, building community, both internally and externally. So ponder this. What if we became a steward of place as a public institution with connections to its community by hosting events that foster a relationship with local municipalities, especially Wayne and Patterson? Can we build on our great connections in the region's schools and through the Small Business Development Center, where Melissa Rosario has expanded offerings and the service area to great effect? Can we grow further as a community resource by inviting neighbors to use our library and our recreation center and serve as a hub for local political and civic engagement? And I saved the best for last. Gradually increase assigned release time for faculty over the next 5 years. I thought for sure that would get applause. So that's a lot to chew on. But it should provide plenty of food for thought and dialogue as the process gets underway. Starting with these frames, the steering committee under the leadership of Dr. Kasenga and Dr. Ginsburg will conduct an extensive series of listening sessions and surveys in September and October with everyone in the colleges, the staff, Student Government Association, University Council, Faculty Senate, the Foundation Board, the Alumni Executive Council, the College Advisory Councils, and the Board of Trustees to ensure that every stakeholder group and every individual member of the William Patterson community has a chance to contribute. And contribute, I hope you will. The more people who engage in this process, the more voices that are heard, the stronger the plan that will emerge, and the more confident we can be that we'll succeed. Then in November and December and January, the responsible parties will draft the goals, action steps, and key performance indicators for the plan. I should mention that we're going to develop a template for each frame so that the goals, action steps, and KPIs align with each other and the overall plan. So I'm calling this a 5-5-5 plan. 5 years, 5 frames, 5 goals in each frame, and a maximum of 5 action steps under each goal. That's going to force us to be hyper-focused, and it will bring us better outcomes and more confidence. These draft elements then will be shared back with the various stakeholder groups for their feedback over the course of January and February, and that feedback will inform the next version of the plan, which will be prepared starting in March and readied in time to be presented to the board for its spring meeting, and with its approval implemented beginning in September of 26, which is just 1 year from now. So now I want to talk about a couple of the themes that we'll be considering in the new plan, which will most likely go into one of the plan's frames in some form or another. To begin with, consider this. 30% of New Jersey high school graduates don't go to college. And of those who do go to college, only 30% stay in state. Should William Patterson strategically invest further in the retention of existing students, or should we focus more on the 30% who say they're not going to college? Now let's get back to culture, which is why we wanted to add the fifth frame. So it's no secret that we've taken a lot of hits over the past several years. Yet during that time, we've worked together to create a strong, resilient culture, one that's built upon the growth mindset, a willingness to take risks, and persistence, which really mirrors the willpower that our students demonstrate every day. Whichever path we choose to pursue, it's this culture that will give us a competitive advantage. How do we invest more in our faculty, staff, and students to enhance and maintain our unique culture? So let me take a moment to explain why I think this is so important. And it starts with what is once great and not so great about public higher education in New Jersey, and that's decentralization. AFT President Sue Tardy and I have been able to partner on a lot of good things for both AFT members and the university, and we should thank her for her leadership. Let's give Sue a round of applause. But not many of you will be surprised to learn that we disagree on a few things. For example, the union and I disagree on the need for more oversight for higher education. More oversight means more red tape, and that means more time to get programs approved. In some centralized systems like New York, they can restrict what you can offer. And I just don't think that's good for individual institutions. The only ones that win in that structure are the research institutions. Decentralization allows us more flexibility to create new and exciting programs and support services. Imagine just for a second if we were told, I'm sorry, but Thomas Edison already does online education, so you, William Patterson, cannot. A lot of us would not be here right now. That's how systems operate. I know, I spent 22 years in one as both a faculty member and as an administrator. Conversely, here's what's not great about decentralization. Any hot academic program can fairly be reverse engineered by another university or in New Jersey and be on the market within 18 months. Any student success program can also be replicated by a competitor. If you see Carmen Ortiz around campus, ask her about how another university student success plan looks a lot like William Patterson's. When you've had the largest retention growth in the state, others want to replicate it. But here's what you can't reverse overnight: culture. Because unlike any technology or particular academic or student success program, culture cannot be quickly or easily replicated by our competitors. Earlier this year, I was asked to contribute to the introduction of a white paper by best-selling higher education author and writer Jeff Selengo entitled Transforming Campus Culture, the Path to Online Innovation at Regional Universities. It was really just an opportunity for me to share my thoughts on some of the strategies that we have used successfully launching and growing WP Online. And it arose and reinforced our growing reputation for the success of WP Online, and more fundamentally, our reputation for the strong culture that has enabled this and many other accomplishments. So what else does culture look like? When the Chang's Library's Real Men Read program puts mentors into our local schools to encourage young people to read and is recognized for its success by the Library of Congress, that's a product of pioneer culture. A big shout out to Neil Grimes and Dean Owosu-Anseh and the entire library team, and thank you all who participated in the program. When the College of Science and Health launches the Inspire program to encourage and support the recruitment and retention of women and underrepresented students in the STEM fields, and is recognized with the Inspiring Programs in STEM Award, that's pioneer culture in action. Congratulations to Dean Venkat Sharma, Program Coordinator Rose Mitchell, and the entire Aspire team. Let's give them a round of applause. When adult students write in unsolicited to say how grateful they are that, quote, small acts of kindness had such a significant impact, or that, quote, William Patterson has exceeded my expectations and has allowed me to level up in my career, all the while still working full-time and being a mom. That's pioneer culture at work. And when the College of Education takes modest university seed funding to grow its aspiring educator programs from 12 students to 64 in just 4 years, so that more diverse student populations can ultimately have more diverse teachers in their classrooms, that's our pioneer culture at work. A big shout out to Dean Ginsberg and Associate Dean and Program Founder David Fuentes and their entire team. So look, it's this distinct culture that's going to enable us to achieve so much more. And we will continue to leverage it and invest in it in the next plan. And we'll integrate it into everything that we do. That's why building community, our fifth frame, is so important. Where then are we going to strategically invest for growth? These are key questions that we'll answer over the course of this year, both inside and outside of the strategic planning process. I do recognize that some of these things require money. I plan to ask the board for a strategic investment to support the plan from the cash reserves that I believe will promote growth. We will also continue our assessment practices and phase out both academic and non-academic programs that are not bringing added value or an ROI to the university. I want to assure you again, this doesn't mean layoffs. It might mean retooling or reassigning the workforce, but should reassignment be necessary, of course, we're going to honor the processes laid out in our collective bargaining agreements for changes in job assignments. So folks, I know it has not been easy these past few months, especially seeing the good work that we do educating and supporting our students being attacked and undermined. Of course, we have to keep up to date on the flurry of changes out of Washington. And as I have said repeatedly, we will always operate in accordance with the law. But executive orders are not law. We will also continue to operate in the best interests of our students. So regardless of what happens in Washington or Trenton, for that matter, there is a gubernatorial election this year, we will be anchored by our values. Values that remain fixed in our mission to serve the diverse population of students who we enroll in the best way that we know how, and the way based on the successes that I have shared and the data we know is working. Retention rates up, confidence. Adult learners up, confidence. Graduate growth up, confidence. Graduation rates up, confidence. Career placement and starting salaries up, confidence. Modest cash surplus added to the reserve, confidence. We know what we are doing, and we've got the numbers to back it up. What's wrong with being confident? Nothing's wrong with it. So let's embrace it. Let's do everything in this new golden academic year and beyond with a well-earned confidence. Our students will notice, the state will notice, the region will notice, and the country will notice. So what's wrong with being confident? Nothing. Thank you, and have a great semester.